All right, mock draft season. So here's my new idea for a mock draft. I said, what if no quarterback goes in the first round? Let's do a mock draft that way. I think that could be pretty interesting. So I'm just going to kind of try to play it out as what would actually happen if no quarterback goes in the first round. And let's just get into it. So this is the mock draft. Again, every team, of course, round one. Let's get into it. So starting the draft right off the bat, I still think Aiden Hutchinson goes 1 overall. I still think Thibodeau goes number 2 overall. I know that there's been some talk about Trayvon Walker squeaking in there. I'll have him go 3. It's not what I would do, but we'll just go with this. I just don't think that that's what I would realistically see happening, but I don't know. It could happen. I'll have Sauce Gardner going 4 to the Jets. Seems like they need a corner, and he could be really good. Fit that scheme really well on top of it. So I think he would be awesome, quite frankly, for them. Number 5, the Giants here. Where do the Giants go? Again, part of it is, at this point, I feel like most teams don't have quarterbacks going here anyways, so it's not really changing too much. I think, if I remember correctly, in the past, I had them going offensive line with Evan Neal. I'll just do that again here. So now the Panthers will not go quarterback here because I don't let them, no quarterbacks allowed. That's the rule. So they'll probably go offensive line, Charles Cross, which would probably help them for the future, but they really need a quarterback too. So that's kind of the unfortunate thing for the Panthers. Number 7, though, so for the Giants, who maybe would have had a couple of options at offensive line, now could go Akeem Ekwanyu. That's an option. Or they could just go with like a corner, get Derek Stingley off the board. That's another option. And I'll say, again, I might have changed some of this stuff from my previous mock drafts, but whatever. I'll say Derek Stingley goes here to the Giants. Number 8, so the Falcons can't go quarterback. They could get Akeem Ekwanyu here, which would make some sense. And I think that might happen. They could also just say, hey, Kyle Hamilton, best player available at many field. So I think George Karlaftis makes a lot of sense for them. They could use an edge rusher for sure. So I think that can make some sense. I guess let's go Ekwanyu. He's available. Let's take him. Okay. Number 9, the Seahawks, who are now very upset that there was that tackle run. That's really a position of need. So I think instead they go Kyle Hamilton here. I keep having Hamilton fall, even though I know teams are so high on him. Hamilton goes at number 9. I don't think the Seahawks would love that. I think there's better options for them. But again, if he is who people say he is, he could be awesome there. Number 10, I'm going to keep doing what I keep doing with the Jets. Every mock draft I have them going corner number 4 and then receiver number 10. Drake London goes here at number 10. Number 11, the Washington football team is a team that could go quarterback, but they're not allowed to. That's against the rules here. So where do we go? Again, they don't have a ton of. I keep mocking Devin Lloyd to them, which I don't know how Washington football team fans feel about that, but again, I think he's really good and would fit that scheme really well and be awesome for them. So that's why I'm having them go there. Number 12, the Vikings. I've had a couple of good players fall to them, I feel like, every draft class. George Karlaftis is certainly an option. Trent McDuffie is certainly an option. What's their bigger need? You could argue they're both needs. So I think they're just going to go, I'll go Trent McDuffie. They could use a corner, Trent McDuffie. 13, the Texans, they're just going to go best player available. I think, number 3, they got Trayvon Walker. Do they go George Karlaftis? Why not? Potentially have good edge rushers for a long time. I don't hate that. Number 14, the Baltimore Ravens. So for the Ravens, I think that they're hoping one of those corners falls to them, but now they didn't because, again, part of it is no quarterbacks going means that these other positions, if you're someone who doesn't need a quarterback, you want quarterbacks to get selected, right? Because that's one more draft spot everyone's falling down the list. So I think in this scenario, they just get Jameson Williams, right? And just say, hey, screw it. Like, let's try to have a good receiving core for Lamar. He'll fit that receiving core well. I think that makes sense. For the Eagles, I think that they go Garrett Wilson here. They want a quality wide receiver. They still need to draft first-round wide receivers. I think that's what they do. I know that they keep drafting first-round wide receivers. Well, yeah, because they keep missing, so they have to keep drafting more. Number 16, the Saints here. So the Saints need wide receiver help, and they need tackle help. Chris Olave is kind of the only real, I feel like, first-round like, or at least like mid first round wide receiver talent, like you can justify left for wide receivers, and then same thing with tackles for Bernard Raymond. So which one would they prefer? Probably the guy that you can get receivers in round two easier than tackles. I think they go Rainman here. So number 17 now for the Chargers. So in the past, I've had them going wide receiver, but I just think that with only Chris Olave left, I don't know if that's as exciting. I think they probably do go Jordan Davis in this scenario because I do think he's something they need. They might go Devontae Wyatt instead of Davis, but I already picked Davis, so we'll go with that. Number 18, the Eagles. Do the Eagles go Nakobe Dean here? Probably, right? Because they could use a linebacker. They already got a wide receiver. I think that's what they do. Number 19. Okay, so this worked out well for the Saints, where Chris Olave falls to them at 19. So they end up getting a wide receiver after all and a tackle after all. As a Buccaneers fan, I feel like I should have, I should have done something about that. But that's where we're at. Number 20. Steelers would love to go Malik Willis here. Not allowed against the rules. So what do we do? They could use some offensive line help. That's certainly an option on the table. You know what? Center isn't their biggest position of need. Tyler Linderbaum's a great center. I'll draft him. And I know that they have bigger needs on that offensive line. I don't care. We'll get Linderbaum. He's a good player. We'll help out the offensive line. Maybe you can shift guys over because I think he's a great player. He's just a center. That's the only weakness about his game. The Patriots here what would they do in this spot? They need, Devontae Wyatt is available, and that's interesting. I don't know if that's what they do. They ideally want a wide receiver or a corner. And so Andrew Booth here isn't that far down the list. He's probably an option, or maybe even Kair Alam as a good like man corner would fit that scheme well as well. So one of those two corners would be an option, or do you go with Devontae Wyatt, which you don't need, but he's a great player. I think they draft for need here. I'll go Andrew Booth, 21. 22, the Green Bay Packers select Trevor Penning because they need an offensive lineman. Number 23, the Arizona Cardinals. So what's interesting is I've had them getting mocked Tyler Linderbaum a lot. That makes sense to me. But now, the Steelers swooped in and got him because they can't get quarterback, which, again, part of the fun of this exercise, I think, is it kind of lets us know, okay, if teams really are low on these quarterbacks, some people think that no quarterback will go in the first round. Well, if that happens, then, that would kind of screw over a team like the Cardinals because Linderbaum, there's a good chance he would go earlier then. And they're a team that would like Linderbaum. So what do? They get Devontae Wyatt. They could help out that run defense. He's the best player available. That might even be the better move than Linderbaum, if we're being honest. So not really too, I hype that up a lot for it to be kind of an easy decision at the end of the day. Number 24, the Dallas Cowboys. What do they do, man? I mean, the Cowboys are in such a weird spot in this draft where like all their needs aren't really going to be right here. Could they go with another edge rusher? Maybe because Randy Gregory is gone. So maybe they replace him with like a David Ajabo. Yeah, sure. Let's do that. Edge rusher 24. The Buffalo Bills, what do they want to do here? They could go defensive lineman and get an interior guy like a Travis Jones right here. That would make sense to me. I wouldn't hate that selection. It's a bit of a reach, but if there is one team that can afford to reach, it probably is Buffalo. So I wouldn't hate that selection. The only other option, and actually I think this is what I would probably do, so I'm going to do this, is Sky Moore, get a Cole Beasley replacement. Good wide receiver, can help you out. I think that's what they do. 26 here, the Titans get Jermaine Johnson, good edge rusher. A lot of people are higher on him than me, but you're getting an edge rusher. You need help at that edge position. 27, I just think, Tampa Bay is going to get Zion Johnson, solid guard, might not have the ceiling as some other players, but he should be solid for them and, complete that offensive line. They need a guard. It makes sense to me. 28, so the Packers who need a wide receiver, I think they get Treylon Burks here. I've had him, this is something that I'm not the first person to talk about them getting Treylon Burks, but, I think he fits that scheme well, and I think he would help them out a lot. So that's kind of how I view that. Number 29, the Kansas City Chiefs. What do the Chiefs do here? They need a lot, and there's not really any wide receivers we're taking, so they're not going to go wide receiver. It would be a reach doing it now. Get some other talent. I think one thing they should do is get a corner. Kair Alam, good. I like him. Get the corner. Help yourself out. then what else do you do? And what's interesting is I do feel like when taking away these quarterbacks, it kind of makes the draft just like a lot less like juicy, I guess. There's a lot less like interesting players this far down the list because I mean, I think you do that with any position, it'll happen, right? You take away offensive linemen, well, then okay, everyone, there's going to be less good value later down the list, just period. But if it is true that these people, no one likes these quarterbacks, well, then that could really suck for a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, who part of why they traded away the draft cap, traded away Tyreek Hill for draft capital was to get players that they thought they were going to get. But if no quarterbacks go, they could be in trouble. But I don't think it would be a disaster because again, Kaiir is good, and then maybe you just get the best defensive lineman you have available, whether it's Boye Mafe, Nick Menino, whatever. I'll just draft Mafe because he's higher on this list. So there you go. The Cincinnati Bengals probably just go corner here, right? With Jalen Patir. I think they would rather go interior offensive line, but like who's available? Kenyon Drake. Maybe they go Kenyon Green. Maybe I'd probably do that. And I'm not a fan of him, but I think people are higher on him than me. So if you feel like you can be a solid offensive lineman, that's not the worst way to spend a 31st overall pick. I keep having the Lions. I keep saying over and over again, this 32nd overall pick is almost certainly going to get spent on a quarterback. I mean, I just feel like whether it's the Lions or a different team trades in and you want that 5th-year option with a quarterback. So that's something you could do. They can't do that. So maybe you just go Leo Chenal. They could, that's an option. He's a solid player. Maybe you do go safety here. You didn't do it earlier, 2nd overall when you drafted Thibodeau. So maybe but they don't really need safety. The only reason why Hamilton was kind of talked about was just because Hamilton's good. Or maybe just go corner. I'll just go Leo Chenal, see how that goes. So that would be the draft if no quarterback gets selected in the first round, which I think it's fair to say for some teams, it's not the end of the world, especially obviously the teams higher up. Maybe it's even a good thing, right? Like the Panthers might be in a better spot because they can't draft a quarterback, but it would certainly be tough for, I think, really the teams that it would really suck for. I feel like are like Green Bay a little bit because there's a bit of an earlier run on wide receivers, and then also Kansas City especially, it would be tough for them. So yeah, that's what I think about that. Let me know, what did you think about the mock draft with no quarterbacks in round 1? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.